My lazy wife just made me lose the one thing I asked for in years, a weekend trip with my brother. I am 37 and the sole provider for my family of 6, me, my F36 partner and 4 kids between 6 and 16, also 2 high-energy dogs. I work 5 days a week and sometimes work on weekends if we need a little more cash. My partner is a stay-at-home mom and hasn't worked since our eldest was born, by her own choice. I wake up at 5 a.m. and take the dogs out. I prepare kids' lunches and snacks, ensure all school essentials such as bags etc. are at front door, then head to work in a physically demanding job. Kids are picked up for daycare and school at 7 a.m. Due to after-school activities and clubs etc. they're not home until 6. I come home at 7 and make dinner most nights. Help with homework, do bath time for the little ones, do dishes, take dogs out for longer walk again, put the little ones in bed, and if the house is a mess, I will of course clean it. I pay for everything: mortgage, bills, insurance, groceries, clothes, toys, technology, after-school activities, dates, a woman to deep clean the house once a month. My partner wants to go on a 2-week-long vacation with her friends, which will overlap with the weekend away I had planned with my brother, who I rarely get to see as we live so far away. She wants me to cancel my trip as she's tired and needs a break. We got into an argument over it in which unkind things were said on both sides, but I am unwilling to budge on this. How do I get through to her that I need some rest? Update 1. So, as one of you suggested, I took a day off of work. I genuinely wasn't feeling too good either, but I intended to speak to my wife about the situation while the children were at school. Kids all left for school by 7-ish. My wife came downstairs at 11:45 and seemed very shocked to see me. She asked what I was doing at home and I explained I took a sick day as I wasn't feeling well. The first words out of her mouth were, "But we need the money, you don't look that bad." I made a face, and she quickly asked what was wrong and asked if she could get me anything. I asked for a water and we sat on the couch, but soon her phone rang, and she went off into the kitchen to talk. She came back a while later and asked if I wanted to get something to eat, and I said we could make something from the kitchen. She said she wanted to go out and I said we could order takeout, but I wasn't in the mood to go out. The dogs had been sitting by the chest freezer waiting the pantry for their lunchtime enrichment for 10 minutes now, and I asked if she was going to feed them. She flopped onto the couch and asked me to get it. I said no, she asked again, and I said no, again. She glared at me, but eventually got up and gave it to them. She asked me to take her out again several times, and I kept saying no. I was starting to get a migraine, which I told her, but she kept asking, suggesting we could go shopping, she could get her nails done and we could enjoy the day together. I refused, said we had something to talk about, and she said we would, then went upstairs. She came back down 40 minutes later dressed up and said if I wasn't going to take her out, she'd go herself. I tried to get her to sit down so we could talk, but she blew me a kiss at the door and rushed outside without even locking it. While she was out, I took some of your advice and cancelled the cleaning lady we have. I apologized to her, as I really did like her, but she was very understanding and I think we parted on good terms. She returned home at 8 p.m. and immediately asked where dinner was. I told her the kids and I had already ate. She asked where her dinner was and I told her she'd have to make something for herself. She said she'd just order something, and I told her no. This gave her pause and she looked at me like I'd just told her she had to starve. She said she couldn't cook, and told her I know she's perfectly capable of making something. We have plenty of foods, it's not like she has to be Gordon Ramsay to stick a tin of soup or something on the stove. She left again, and returned 30 minutes later with McDonald's for herself, which set the younger kids off. Yes, they'd already ate, but she walked in the door finishing her burger and drink with an empty bag and McFlurry tub. Our youngest asked why she didn't bring her any ice cream and my wife said, "Daddy said I wasn't allowed to." I did not say this, and I swear it took more strength than I'd like to admit not to yell at her in front of our daughter. When the kids were in bed, I asked her to sit and talk about the situation regarding our trips. She asked if I'd rescheduled with my brother and I firmly told her no, and that I wouldn't. I tried to have a conversation. I explained I felt our duties were incredibly uneven and that I'd like for her to take on more responsibilities with the children and the house. She argued that she does enough and I asked her to make a list. She put laundry down, feeding the dogs, making doctor's appointments and grocery shopping. And I brought out my own list with everything I've told you guys so far and added that I created the dogs' meals. She simply has to give it to them. I fold and distribute laundry, take kids to doctor's appointments, and that the groceries are ordered through an app on her phone, delivered to the house, and I put them away. She got up then. I asked what she was doing and she said she was going upstairs. I didn't argue. I didn't want it to resolve to an argument and wake the kids up. She was visibly shaking with anger. A while later I went upstairs as well. She was talking on the phone to someone and when I entered the room she demanded I leave and go sleep on the couch, I refused and climbed into bed. She hung up the phone and demanded again that I sleep on the couch, and again, I refused. She grabbed me and physically tried to drag me out. That resulted in a fight, and I ended up sleeping on the couch because she was going to wake the kids up again. The following days were much of the same. I have stopped folding and putting away her laundry. I do it for myself and the younger kids, and my two oldest take their piles and put them away themselves. I still cook for the kids, but have told my wife that she has to make her own meals. Petty, I know. I think my eldest heard us arguing because he asked if he could take the dogs out for a couple walks with his friend during the week. He hazes, and he says he's enjoying it, but I think he and my wife had an argument the other day because he's been very distant with her and things just feel off. He's asked me about 3 times if I love him, or course I've told him there is nothing he could ever do to make me not. I've tried to talk him about it, but he doesn't want to talk yet, and I need to respect that. I think pushing him could be a mistake. Thursday night my wife asked if we could have a drink as I had to leave on Friday to see my brother. I had one drink, but honestly it went right to my head and honestly just wanted to sleep. She kept trying to initiate intimacy, but I wasn't in the mood. I woke up Friday morning and my wife was gone, so was her suitcase. I've texted and called, but there's been no answer other than a text telling me we'd talk about it when she's back. She ignored me and went on her trip regardless, and I am furious. I have left her some cash in the bank account, she has the card too, but have removed everything else into another account. I had to call my brother why I wouldn't be coming to see him, and he arrived here on Saturday with my nephew and 2 nieces. The house is very full, but honestly it feels more open than it has in a long time. The kids seem relaxed and so do the dogs. I don't know what will happen with my wife, but I am done. I can't afford a lawyer right now, and unfortunately I don't know any who could give me a deal or do me a favor, but this marriage is over. It should have been a long time ago. Update 2. I know a lot of you have suggested I message her telling her I'm going to divorce her, etc., but I think I'm going to play it cool, act like I've accepted her decision so she's not on guard. I know she said something to my son, but he won't tell me what it is, and I feel like if I push him to, he might not tell me ever, but my nephew and him are hanging out a lot, they're close despite not seeing each other much, so I'm hoping he might confide in him and maybe open up. Some of you have suggested that I get the kids' DNA tested, especially my youngest, and while I know that this is likely something I'll have to do, it breaks my heart to think that they're not mine. My girls all look the same, just older versions of each other, so if I have to DNA test the youngest, I have to do them all. I never wanted kids, this is why I've always used condoms. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but I love my own, I love these kids. Regardless of the DNA test. They are mine, but I fear if it comes back that they're not, it could damage our relationship. My brother has read my posts and spent the last days telling me everything he hates about my wife, obviously not in front of the kids. He's pretty funny and I feel like I haven't been able to laugh like this in a long time. He says he's going to make a Reddit account, Lord knows what he'll say. Writing this update has opened my eyes further. I see how the timing of her wanting to go back to work lines up with each pregnancy, but when these things are years apart, and you're concentrating on supporting the family and work, your brain sometimes pushes these thoughts away until something triggers them again and boom, you're slapped in the face with the realization that your entire relationship is potentially built on a mountain of lies. She has her phone and iPad with her, so I can't check any of that. But I'm going to be going through her stuff. Is it an invasion of privacy? Likely. Do I care right now? No. I feel like I've wasted the majority of my life, the good years, and that feels horrible to say when I have 4 kids. I promise I don't mean that they're a waste. As I said in the post, this marriage is over, I am done. My kids deserve better, but I won't be alone when I confront her. As I said, she can get handsy, and no, I have never retaliated and I don't want to be put into a position where I need to. Update 3. We are separated and will be getting a divorce. My father-in-law has graciously offered to help. Some of the children aren't mine. My eldest, my son, is mine, my 3 daughters are not, and while I thought I could handle the news, clearly my body couldn't and I had a heart attack. Thankfully my brother was with me and called an ambulance. I am recovering, but Jesus Christ, it scared the shite out of me and my family. As some of you may remember, when my ex left for vacation, I took the majority of the money out of the account she used but left some as I didn't want to leave her stranded. That money, about $500 or so, was gone in a few days. She used her own money, that she's been making from OnlyFans, to fund her trip. Yes, I'm serious. She has an OnlyFans account. My son had offered to take the dogs out for me during his lunch/free class time and walked in on his mother making content in the living room. She told him that I wasn't making enough money for the family to survive and that she had to do the OnlyFans to help support us. She told him I was ashamed and embarrassed and that I would be very unhappy and hurt if he mentioned it. She told him that doing so could ruin our marriage and could lead us to divorce. My in-laws know everything, as my brother had to call them to help watch my kids while I was in the hospital. My father-in-law is furious and my mother-in-law is just devastated. She keeps apologizing to me, like she's the one who betrayed me. My ex moved out. She tried to make me leave so she could stay in the house with the kids, but after a conversation with her father she's renting a place. My eldest daughter and my son knows the girls aren't mine. My ex told them after they said they didn't want to go live with her at her new place. My mother-in-law was with them at the time and, according to my daughter, began screaming at my wife for her behavior. My youngest two don't know yet. But they will. This isn't something I can keep from them forever, they already know that something is up. I've cut my hours back at work and have been able to work from home. It's obviously a desk job for now, but I am thankful to my boss for working with me on this. I came home to find out that my mother-in-law and one of my sisters-in-law had cleared out my wife's hobby space and made it an office for me. I am very grateful for their support during this. I know it can't be easy to take the side of your daughter/sister's ex-partner during a breakup, but I appreciate them. While things aren't great by any stretch of the imagination, I feel strange. Things seem calmer without my ex in the house. There seems to be more laughter about the place, even the dogs appear more at ease. But I am so angry. Which obviously isn't good for my heart, but I've wasted a huge chunk of my life raising kids that aren't mine in a marriage that was effed from the beginning. I am ashamed, humiliated, embarrassed, angry, relived. It's a mess of emotions in my head. But I know I'll get through it. I need to for my kids and dogs.